This is section 2.4, and we're going to be solving right triangles using relationships that we've been learning. So if you are given a problem where it says solve the right triangle, and they'll give you some information, they want you to find all the angles and all the sides. So in this one, we were given, let's take this away because we weren't given that. We were given that this angle and the 12.7 there. Now I drew the ABC, and usually the C is the right angle. So I filled in the opposite side, that's the 12.7, and I have this 34 degrees 30 minutes. Now it's easy to find angle B. You'll just subtract from 90, and you have 90 minus 34 degrees 30 minutes gives you 55 degrees and 30 minutes. So now we have that. Then we want to remember our relationships. The sine of 34/30 is opposite over hypotenuse. So A, which we don't know, over 12.7. Now we just solve for A. Multiply 12.7 here. So 12.7 times sine 34 degrees 30 minutes. Do that in your calculator, and you get the 7.2 that I had over here. So we solved for that. You can do the same thing with the cosine of this thing to solve for B. So we have cosine of 34 degrees 30 minutes is equal to B adjacent over hypotenuse. So B over that. Multiply 12.7 on the other side, and you do that in your calculator, and you get the 10.5. So we solved for angle B and the two missing sides A and B, and that is solving the right triangle. So that's what we're going to do in our problem set. So let's go look at those. So on this first problem, these are some matching things, and it really makes you think a little bit. So we know that they are asking, match the following equation with the right triangle. So the goal is to find the value of x. And this statement says x equals 6 cotan 47 degrees. So the way we need to think about this, what is the relationship for cotan? We don't think about that one as often as we might think of tan. So tan is opposite over adjacent. That means then that cotan is adjacent over opposite. We flipped it. So x, so here's our 47 degree angle. So x over 6 is cotan of 47. That's what we know. And so we're looking, and that where is x the adjacent and 6 is the opposite. X is adjacent, 6 is the opposite. And the only place where that is true is right here. So that's kind of the logic for doing these. So let's see if we can do another one. So x equals 6 cosine 46. Well, if we divide by the 6, we divide 6 over here, we have x over 6 equals cosine 46. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So x is the adjacent, 6 is the hypotenuse. Well, there are two that have 6 as a hypotenuse, but over here x is the opposite. Here, x is the adjacent. So this is the one that works. You have to think about it a little bit. All right, number 3, we're in doing those solve the right triangle questions. So you're given this picture, and you're asked to find the missing pieces, angle B, side A, and side B. Angle B is easy. Subtract from 90. Now, I did it by hand. And I said, okay, if I'm subtracting from 90, I know I'm going to have to make that 89 degrees 60 minutes. And I subtracted and got this. You can do the whole thing on the calculator if you want. You can say 90 minus and then put in 29 degrees 34 minutes, and you would get that. Then, let's see, we we're going to find the opposite side. So this is opposite. Opposite over hypotenuse is sine. So sine of this is equal to A over 968. And so then multiply 968 this way, and here's what you put in the calculator. So 98 sine 29 degrees 34 minutes gives you that. If you go down and do the other piece, so this is adjacent over that. That's cosine. Cosine of 29 degrees 34 minutes is B over that. Multiply that. Then you do that one in the calculator and you get the 841. And I believe they were rounding to the nearest integer. That means you're not going to have any decimal places. Round to the whole number. So that's how we did that one. So for number 5, it's a little bit different. So we've got a little bit different things to do. They have given us 2 sides, but none of the other angles besides the right angle. So that's a little different. So what we want to think about to find angle B, that tangent is opposite over adjacent. So we can use these two numbers. So tan B is equal to 41.9 over 77.7. If you do that in the calculator, you get 28.33. But they want things in degrees and minutes. So from that point, you would hit second apps and choose DMS. So let me show you where that is. So if we just did it and we did second apps, remember that DMS is number 4. So when you do that, it'll change it into degrees and minutes. So I got my 2820. Then I said, well, angle A then has to be 90 minus that. And I did that in the calculator. I've done it by hand on here, but I showed you how to do it on the calculator. 90 minus 28 degrees, 20 minutes. Use your second apps to get that. You get 61.666. A bunch of 6's and a 7. But you want to change it into degrees, minutes, seconds. You get 6140. So that went here. And then the last thing you want to do is get side C, if we look back at our picture. In side C, we can say sine of B, which we now know to be 28 degrees 20 minutes, is equal to opposite, which is 41.9, over C. When I solve for C, if I multiply the C over here and then divide the sine, now I've got C by itself and it's equal to 41.9 divided by sine of 28 degrees 20 minutes. I got 88.28. I'm asked to round to the nearest tenth, so that's 88.3. So that's how you would do that one. All right, number 6 is exactly like number 5, and I have put the answers here. I don't have the work for that one, but it's exactly the same as you would do number 5 up here. Now, number 7, number 7 is kind of a word problem, and we need to draw a picture. So let's get here. So a building 88.51 feet tall has a shadow that's 91.09 feet. Find the angle of elevation of the sun to the nearest 100th degree. Angle of elevation is this one here going up. And so if we're looking at it, here's the height of our building, 88.51. Here's the length of the shadow. The tangent of this angle would be opposite over adjacent. So tan x equals 88.51 over 91.09. And there we go. We get the 44.176 and we round up. So just draw your picture and then find your relationship. Opposite over adjacent, that's tangent. This one, it says watch the video for this, and you could do that. I think we can probably handle it anyway, but a company safety committee has recommended that a floodlight be installed or mounted in a parking lot so as to illuminate the exit. Find the angle of depression. The angle of depression. So this is the angle of elevation, this one here, and we could see that would be opposite over adjacent. So if I find this theta, then the angle of depression is here. And if that's a parallel line and that's a parallel line, these will be alternate interior and they'll be the same. So if we can find this angle, then we know what the angle of depression is. So if you do second tan, and I don't think that showed the answer. Let me bring up, let's see. Here we go. So second tan of 39.41, we get 37.3. And so we can, if we change that to the degrees minutes second abs for 37 degrees 21 minutes. So I believe that's what that should be. I think that's what we had on the calculator, 37 degrees 21 minutes. And that should be that. So I think that you could get going on this problem set.